Hi, I'm Olu, and welcome to this episode of Dharmola Does. This week, I'll be diving deeper into real estate prices here in Cambridge, Massachusetts. What I'll be doing is taking a look at real estate data over the last 12 months to determine could it make sense for us to make a purchase this month, for example, September 2024, or is there a better opportunity for us to increase our real estate investment earnings and return on investments by investing long term. So, for example, maybe in March 2025, let's go ahead and get started. So, the first thing that I did was went ahead and imported NumPy and Pandas in addition to Matplot, sklearn, and the stats models to help build a foundation for the linear regression model. After completing that action, I went ahead and loaded the data set for the previous 12 months. The data starts from August 2023 through July 2024, and we can see that we have 12 values here. So we'll go ahead and execute that row. What I think would be helpful is just to visualize the data over the last 12 months. So what I'm going to do now is actually plot that information. So starting in August, we can see that first data point was 1.58 million. Then that decreased, and then it decreased even further. And then we see a trend of decreases before we see prices starting to increase. That increase is then abruptly and then it goes down. So we'll take a look at the data frame. All right, so we have 12 rows of data. As we can see previously, we've went ahead and visualized that information. Now we're just going to run some statistics over the last 12 months. So for example, the average, the highest, and then the lowest. This isn't quite any machine learning, but just more summary statistics to help us understand and gauge the market. So for example, we know that over the previous 8 months, we saw an increase, which was then abruptly with the decrease in prices. So running that function, what we're able to compute is over the last 12 months, the average single family home in Cambridge, Massachusetts was 1.5 million. The highest over the last 12 months was 1.64 million, and the lowest was 1.56 million. Now, what I'm going to do is apply the linear regression model. We see that our r squared is 72.8 and our adjusted r squared is 70.1. So what this tells us is close to 73% of the data can be explained by the trend we see. And then similarly, we're able to compute our coefficients, which will help us predict future months. So for example, here's the constant that we'll be interested in, and then the number associated with the month to compute and predict future months. So that's what I went ahead and did here. So for example, September 2024, I wanted to understand what the price could be using the historical data that we were analyzing earlier. And what I end up with is $1.64 million. The 14th month being 2 months after the last data point that we have, which ends, if we remember, in July. So September is 13, August would be 13, and then September would be 14, which is what we're trying to derive and predict for. Similarly, if we wanted to look all the way further out, for example, in March of 2025, again, we wouldn't have any of the data points as of today because November, for example, hasn't happened, neither is December, January, or February, etc. So using our linear regression model, we just want to determine what the price could be in March 2025, and running that, we get 1.68 million. Now we just want to see what that linear regression equation looks like that I was alluding to earlier, and what we arrive at is our linear regression equation is 15551,847.59 plus 7235.95 multiplied by the month number, and that'll give us the price. This last part is, again, just doing a validation of the train and test data of the 12 data points that we have. Again, it's important from a model perspective to feel confident and feel that our prediction makes sense. The only caveat here is, of course, we only have a limited number of data points over the last 12 months. Irrespective of that, though, we're still able to go through the exercise to derive our mean square function, our root mean squared error, our mean absolute error, and then our R squared. Now we're going to do the regression plot just so that we can better visualize this trend and determine if this makes sense. So we can see the clear regression line here. I concluded this project by just demonstrating what the future price would be for September, which is this month in addition to March. So what we can see is the plotted values, the historical prices for single family home, illustrated in blue here. And then we have our trend line, linear regression, going through our data set. Lastly, concluded with our predicted price for September of 2024, which we can see is $1.64 million. Similarly, ran through for predicted price in March as we illustrated above, and the predicted price for March 2025 is 1.68 million. So what we can arrive and conclude is taking a look at linear regression models. Specifically, does it make sense for us to perhaps do a short-term investment in our single-family home now, or would it be more beneficial for us to perhaps wait down the road, and for example in March, should we then pull the trigger and make a purchase then? What we've arrived to and what we're able to conclusively see is, using linear regression and the historical data set over the last 12 months, if we were to go ahead and make a purchase this month for 1.64 million, as opposed to waiting 6 months and making that same purchase for 1.68 million, we would have over a $30,000 cost savings, and that could be additional economic value that could be allocated elsewhere, for example, furnishing your new home, other investment opportunities. And with that, that concludes the AI real estate machine learning project for Cambridge, Massachusetts. If you've enjoyed this project, feel free, be courageous to drop a like, subscribe so you can see additional in our next project that I'll be working on, which will be for Ithaca. Again, my name is Olu. Really appreciate your time and look forward to our next Darmola Does project, which will be focused on real estate investments in Ithaca, New York. Thank you. Have a good one.